Just last year, I said this cruise line was coming for Carnival. And after another week on board with Margaritaville, I am more sure of it than ever. Come along with me on this 25-year-old cruise ship as we check in to one of the most surprising cruises I've ever taken. Margaritaville Islander is the newest ship operating cruises out of Tampa, Florida. With room for upwards of 2,100 passengers, this former Costa cruise ship was first unveiled in the year 2000. Fast forward 25 years and 3 owners later, and this Spirit-class ship looks a heck of a lot different than it did when you and I were just worrying about Y2K. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Let's start at the beginning. I'm booked on a 6-night preview sailing to Key West, Cozumel, and Progreso. And thanks to my friends at Margaritaville, I'll be showing you just about everything you can do on board this cruise. Plus, I'm going to share my favorite shore excursions as well. I arrived to Terminal 6 in Tampa and used the on-site parking lot that's available there. Pricing varies a bit, but I ended up spending $107 for my 6-night cruise. Parking in this lot is the most convenient option overall that you're going to find here, which means I was already dropping my luggage and walking towards the terminal like a minute later. And that's when it happened. A wild vlogger appeared.
Tony? What? Good to see you. Hey, Jenny.
That's my friend Tony, his wife Jenny. You might know them from their YouTube channel, La Lido Loca. This was just a really fun surprise. Neither of us were expecting it. Boarding was a very smooth process, and it seems like they've really improved this since I was here in June of 2024. We are through check-in. It's time to get on board the Islander. Walking onto this ship, the vacay vibes are already there to greet you from the second you step on board. I love nothing more than boarding directly into the main atrium of a cruise ship, and that is exactly where everybody gets their first impressions when stepping aboard the Islander. Now, with it being so early in the morning, there was still like 2 hours before the cabins would become available. It's time to put my drink package to good use, and it's gonna be a Mai Tai kind of day. I felt like that's more of a breakfasty drink.
Here we are taking another cruise on Margaritaville. It's been about 6 months since I was on this ship last, and it's holding up pretty well. It's in really good condition. Now, last time when I boarded this ship, it was still on its inaugural sailing phase, and I tried to go down here, right down there to Cheeseburger in Paradise, and unfortunately I was denied my cheeseburger last time on embarkation day. But today it looks like I'm about to get my cheeseburger. Let's head down and see what the cheeseburger in Paradise is really like.
A short while later and a few minutes spent with the Lido Deck People Watching Club, it's time to head down to cabin 8240. This is a breezy balcony stateroom, and in here is where some of my favorite updates have been made on the Islander. Stepping into this wonderfully refreshed cabin, colored with clean, neutral tones and a splash of teal here and there, this cabin features a king-size bed or 2 doubles. Beside this bed, you're going to find a full-size sofa with a coffee table and a very generously sized work desk that I made great use of on board. Wonderful storage options, many drawers, cubbies, and plenty of closet space. And stepping into the bathroom, it looks like most of the surfaces have had a new coating of paint, and the shower curtains were replaced to something a little more on brand. In here, the cruise line provides you with shampoo, conditioner, and body wash. Now, just like the rest of the cabin, storage in here is readily available. I think a group or family of 3 or 4 could manage in here for a few days.
What's that?
All right, I'm sure more than one of you have noticed that big old bottle of champagne and chocolate dipped strawberries just hanging out there on my desk. Let me explain why that's there. Margaritaville is extremely proud of this cruise ship, and they're working diligently to bring 4 to 6 more new vessels on board over the next few years. And to do that, they need people like you to book these cruises. And they've asked me to come on board and help them with some marketing, so that's what I'm doing. But along with that, they're allowing me to film this experience, give this review, and share it with you with no strings attached, meaning I maintain 100% control over what I'm saying in this video and what you see. Business meeting adjourned? Let's look at the highlight feature of this cabin, the breezy balcony, which offers 2 club chairs and a small table out here. It's just about the perfect size for a morning coffee or a light breakfast. Now, I know you see those big old industrial looking structures out here, and that means we're still in Port Tampa, but not for much longer, and I've not even done my muster drill yet. So let's head that way, and on the way, why why don't we take a quick peek inside the adult arcade? Here in the casino, you're gonna find most of the usual slot machines, along with roulette, several card gaming varieties, and craps, just to name a few things in here. It's a pretty full service area, and that's the casino here on Islander. Now let's take a stroll down memory lane and head outside to the promenade deck and do our in-person muster drill. Here on Margaritaville, when it's time to learn how to abandon ship, they're going to ask you to come outside and line up shoulder to shoulder with all of your fellow cruisers and receive this demonstration in person. And I know this isn't the way most cruise lines are doing it these days, but for some reason on this ship, this just feels right. With mustering over, I worked my way up to the Lido deck to check out the Sailaway party. This has been greatly improved since my last cruise on this ship, and I think it's actually a really fun time. They even hold up these huge shakers of salt while they're paying tribute to the famous line from the song 5 O'Clock Somewhere. It's a really fun little Sailaway party, and it seemed packed. In fact, I was having so much fun at the Sailaway party, I didn't even notice that the ship had already pulled out and was on her way out into Tampa Bay. We'd been sailing for a bit, and at that point, we were about 2 hours away from passing under the famous Sunshine Skyway Bridge. I worked my way to the aft of the ship to take in the views of Tampa Bay, and since we're back here, it's a perfect time to look at the amenities, especially for you adults. The pool and hot tub here, they are adults only. And yes, if you're wondering, they did glue a margarita glass onto that little statue that came with the ship. I just love that for them. You'll also find the Tiki Grill and Island Eats back here. Right above the Tiki Bar is a nice new water slide featuring these psychedelic colorful rings as you whiz past them. It's a lot like you've probably seen on Royal Caribbean ads. As a person who has never used a water slide on a cruise ship, I can't tell you how fun or boring this slide is, but it seemed to be very popular. Let's fast forward about 2 hours after sail away. The ship rather dramatically passes out of Tampa Bay into the Gulf of America. And seeing as I've only ever sailed in the Gulf of Mexico from here, I don't want to miss sailing to a new place that I've never been. I made my way up to Deck 12 Midships for a chance to see the ship's funnel pass just 3 meters underneath the Skyway Bridge. This is so fun to do, and most people don't even realize how to get up here or what's going on. Probably don't know the history of this area, but there was a very impactful tragedy that happened back in 1980 that actually is probably the reason that this cruise ship can even fit in or out of Tampa Bay. After watching a postcard perfect sunset silhouetted in pastel orange and pink hues, it was time for dinner. And for this one, I actually dressed up a bit. I'm heading to JWB Prime Steakhouse. This venue is up on deck 11 and features a dramatic floating glass staircase for guests to enter from. And overhead, you're gonna find a soaring glass atrium. I ordered the provoletta appetizer, which turned out to be like a golden warm slice of rich hot cheese that still had a little bit of a bite and squish to it. You eat this with a crusty fresh sourdough bread. I've never had this before, but I'm gonna be on the lookout for it again because it was good. And since this is a cruise, there's a second appetizer involved here. This is my bib and walnut salad. Moving on to the main course, I of course went with an 8-ounce filet, cooked medium, with sides of mac and cheese, broccoli, and mashed potatoes. Overall, this steakhouse was very impressive, and I would put it in line or slightly better than similar offerings from Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and even Princess. Dessert here was a key lime pie in honor of tomorrow's port call. Our first of 3 ports on this sailing is Key West. We made our way through the turquoise coastal waters, slipping quietly into Mallory Square Pier. Good morning. It is day number 2 here on the Margaritaville Islander, and we are pulling into beautiful Key West. Florida's right here behind me. I've got an excursion today. We're gonna go do a little bit of a pub crawl out there, have a little bit of fun, see what Key West is all about. This is a great excursion. I gotta make my way downstairs to the lounge on deck 2. Got my excursion tickets, my sunscreen on. Let's get out to Key West. It was around 1 in the afternoon when I was able to disembark for my excursion, and this one is a pretty popular one. Maybe that's because of all the free alcohol and the free t-shirt. We have been issued the official pub crawl sticker as well as the pub crawl t-shirt. Getting ready here. It is an absolutely gorgeous day out here in Key West. The pub crawl is a walking tour that took me down the Duval Street area. At each bar, we were given a ticket to exchange for the drink of our choice. There were always recommended drinks at every bar, but you could also just get a beer if you'd rather. Pretty much whatever you wanted, your ticket would buy. And I think my favorite drink was the Banana Breeze from the Flying Monkey Bar, probably because it's literally literally just ice cream, banana, and booze. All in, this tour lasted about 4 hours and we visited 6 bars. Along the way, there's an opportunity to grab a pizza by the slice at the Tree Bar. This was fresh out of the oven and the perfect folding pizza.
The time has arrived. The pizza by the slice. Y'all, this is hot.
I needed this pizza to prepare me for the dreaded pickle bar. Yes, one of the stops on this tour features a pickle shop. Now, pickles that you chew and eat, they're not all that bad. I kind of like those. But drinking their juice, that doesn't excite me much. But I'm in the, okay, I'll try it phase of life. So it was bottoms up with the pickle shots.
All right, it's time to do the famous pickle shot at the pickle bar. That's a pickle juice. You gotta try this, I think.
My tour ended about 2 hours before all aboard, and it gave me some time to explore some of the other local eats and drinks here in Key West. My favorite here is always Sloppy Joe's, so of course I stopped off there before heading back towards the ship, where once again the evening sun was putting on a show, and a large crowd had gathered to watch the Islander sail away. Y'all, that's gonna do it for Key West, Florida. I'm back on board the ship. We've got a sea day tomorrow ahead of us, and then we are on to Cozumel and Progreso. When I got back to my cabin for the evening, I noticed a letter in my mailbox that I wasn't expecting. And what a surprise, they had invited me to, hang on. Have you proven to your fellow cruisers that you love cruising more than they do? I got the best way to do that, and it's picking up one of these Lido Deck people watching shirts from my Amazon store. This one, it's double-sided. You can order them right now with Prime shipping, and there's links for purchase in the description down below. It keeps me cruising and bringing you this content, and I sure appreciate it. Thank y'all. Right, so about that note under the door, the sweet concierge on board was writing to let me know that she had arranged a private bridge tour in the morning for me, and this turned out to be really cool. I assumed it would be a small private tour or something, but it was literally just me. Y'all, if it wasn't for you subscribing and watching this channel, that would have never happened. And being the total nerd that I am about things like cruise ships, I completely forgot to film anything during the entire hour up there. I did get this picture snapped with the captain and first officer though, and little did I know that those officers up there were so cool, so nice. Now, after leaving the bridge, I wanted to try their signature sparkling wine brunch that Margaritaville offers. And I think maybe I just arrived at a busy time or something, because this ended up being a very lengthy lunch for just getting 2 items. And I never actually got the sparkling wine that it was supposed to come with. It's kind of the namesake of the experience, so womp womp. I'll tell you though, the item to order in here is the Hollow pudding with its layers of chia seeds, mango jelly, berries, and roasted banana, all marinating in coconut milk. Not only does this look incredible, but it tasted it as well. For the main course, I selected the Islander Alfredo. It featured garlicky Parmesan flavor with Alfredo pasta, pulled chicken mixed in, and a poached egg on top. And I don't remember what came first, the chicken or the egg, but this dish didn't come first at all. It was a 5 out of 10 for me. As a matter of fact, I was pretty envious of everybody else's food around me. Overall, I hope this experience improves, because I think this could be something really special on Margaritaville. Following brunch, I was contacted by the ship's concierge once again about taking part in a secret experience on board that no one really knows all that much about. Now, I'm sure the secret is sort of slipping out by now about the Speakeasy on board the Islander, but until recently, the only way to get in there was by receiving an invitation from someone in the entertainment crew. Now, however, this is something that you can purchase on board at the Excursion desk. To access the Speakeasy, you have to give a specific person your invitation, and in return, they will present you with one of Jimmy Buffett's favorite drinks. A few minutes after receiving that, the entertainment director will appear and whisk you away through a few hallways and crew areas, and they ask you not to film really much in here. Pictures are okay, don't really point the camera and ruin the stories, and I don't want to ruin your experience at all, so I'm just going to tell you there's a lot of drinks coming at you in here, along with some amazing stories and some sentimental things as well. If you're cruising because you love Jimmy Buffett, do not miss this. At the end of the experience, you receive a necklace with an inscribed guitar pick to help you find the other folks on board, give them a wink and a nod, and know you're kind of in a secret club, just a secret club with a lot more alcohol. As soon as I left the Speakeasy, I ran up to the buffet, the Port of Indecision, grabbed a really quick bite to eat because it was time again to have more drinks. It's kind of a theme here on this ship. These drinks, however, are on the house and available to you even without the drinks plan. The captain hosts a fun margarita toast in the atrium where he is paraded out, stood on stage, changed into Hawaiian clothing, and given a comically big margarita. It's a fun experience, and did I mention it's free? After this toast, I'm not sure how this day got away from me so quickly. Probably has something to do with all the drinks from the Speakeasy, but before I knew it, dinner time had already arrived again. Tonight in Finn's, I ordered a Greek salad, Mediterranean chicken, and a tiramisu. The dessert was a good part, and overall, I'd give this meal a 7 out of 10. Now, after dinner, you can choose to be as busy or lazy as you'd like, and me being just oh so productive all the time, I chose to be busy for once and attend the signature show on board. It's called Chonky Tonkin at Sea, and it began at 9:30. It's the one entertainment choice that I would say should be mandatory for everyone taking this cruise. In here, I ended up running into the cruise director, ZJ, as well as my buddy Tony B. Chonky Tonkin is a bespoke song and dance show, mainly featuring some of the best country hits of the last 2 decades or so. It brings a lot of energy, and the performance has a lot of dimension, as they're not just using the stage, but they use all the theater, up and down the aisles, and even the ceiling above you. It appears to me that Margaritaville has updated this show since the first time I saw it, and I missed this kind of fun train robber scene that they've since replaced with something a little bit more mushy and heartfelt. But overall, this show is as good as something you're gonna find on like a Royal Caribbean ship from the early 2000s. It was fully themed, and it didn't seem cheesy like is so easy to do on a cruise ship in the theater. This was a great way to wind down the second night of this cruise and head off to bed, because tomorrow I've got a really long day ahead of me in Mexico. We arrived to port in Progreso around 6 a.m. and the excursion I'm doing is a long way away from the ship. And as I'm heading to Chichen Itza today for my very first time, I was early to arrive because I didn't want to miss this opportunity. A short while later, we were let off the ship and rushed through the port area to a waiting motor coach. The ancient Mayan ruins are about a 3-hour drive from Progreso, and we made one stop along the way to be allowed to stretch our legs, aka shop or use the bathroom, and I opt to grab a Coke Light. And after securing the beverage, it's time to let Corey from the past explain what's going on. Welcome to Peace Day, Mexico. I'm here on an excursion with Margaritaville. We're heading over to Chichen Itza very soon. Just got off about a 2.5-hour bus ride, and we're only a couple miles from Chichen Itza. We stopped for a quick little bathroom break and a little lunch break before we head on and see one of the 7 wonders of the world. In Chichen Itza today, we are going to be seeing a couple of cool things. Obviously, the pyramid, that's what y'all are coming to see. But there's also a ball court and the Temple of the Warriors, all on the agenda. This excursion also includes a boxed lunch, which I think we're actually getting now. I'm not sure. We'll find out about that here in a minute. But right now, it's a little place to use the bathroom, stop off, and do a little bit of shopping here. Get the souvenirs that you like. Me, I'm a magnet guy, so I'm going to go look for one of those. I went with a Coca-Cola Light. I'm assuming this is Diet Coke. Not quite. It's more like a Coke Zero. With that out of the way, it's time to get back on the bus. On here, they handed out a bag lunch to all of us that consisted of a ham sandwich, chips, banana, water, and a little chocolate bar. This food was not the best, and it left a little pain in my stomach about an hour after I ate it. It was short-lived, but you know, it's really the only options that you have because Mexico doesn't allow you to bring food off the ships, and you don't have time to buy any really important. So just know that going into this excursion, that's what you're dealing with. Upon parking at the entry to Chichen Itza, you get a ticket to enter. Once you get through security, there is about a 100-yard walk that goes directly right on the road that the ancient Mayans built and would have used to access this city. And it was really nice to think about all the history that has passed through here, though I had about 2 seconds to do that thinking because Mexico has somehow managed to turn this path into the biggest tourist trap I've ever been in. Once through the bazaar, though, the pyramid of Chichen Itza, known as El Castillo, loomed into view. Towering over everything in sight, this 4-sided pyramid from 600 AD is not just pretty to look at, it's actually built with astonishing precision and even functions as a calendar of sorts. You see, there are 91 steps per side and 1 at the very top, and those numbers all add up to 365, a number I think you're pretty familiar with. This site here is massive, and it could take hours to fully explore, and unfortunately my tour guide didn't really want us to see everything. You see, as soon as we got in, he spent the first 30 minutes keeping us as far away from these ruins as possible to give us a presentation and hold up pictures about this site, something that he could have easily done on the bus. This is a very popular cruise excursion, and it's going to be pretty big busy. All in, we spent a little over 1 hour on the grounds, and losing half of that time to look at this guy's photos, it wasn't the most enriching thing I've ever experienced. As a matter of fact, I eventually just wandered off and left them alone before rejoining after he was finally done talking. First up on the tour, we walked through an ancient ball court where seemingly if you lose, you were sacrificed. I would have liked to have spent some time in there looking at all the carvings and the stone. After seeing this, we backtracked to the main pyramid structure itself, and because we talked so long earlier, we only had about 4 or 5 minutes to spend at the base of El Castillo. This is one impressive creation. It's actually considered one of the new 7 wonders of the world. And before you knew it, we were leaving. On the way home, we hit rush hour traffic and actually ended up getting back to port way after all aboard time. Luckily though, since this excursion was through the cruise ship, they waited on us. It was no problem. If you're planning on visiting Chichen Itza on your cruise, I highly recommend avoiding those private tours. Book it through the cruise line because this site is very remote and it's not worth risking it to save like 10 or 20 bucks. It's just not. We arrived back in port so late that I was ready to be heckled, you know, the cruise hecklers for the pier runners, but I guess Margaritaville is a little too chill for that. We didn't have any of those shenanigans going on. Tonight, I've got my sights set on the Tiki Grill. Located on Deck 9 aft, this venue offers made-to-order dishes for an a la carte price. And I ordered the Taste of Peru with a slice of chocolate cake. This food costs $17, and if you have a prepaid dining pass, this venue qualifies. The Taste of Peru, I can tell you, was much better than it was last year when I had it, and I can finally say it's actually worth trying. The next morning, we woke up in Cozumel. This is a really fun port stop, and it has an amazing variety of things to do. Personally, after being so busy for the last couple of days, I've opted to hit up an all-inclusive called Playa. To catch this excursion, we were once again led off the ship and directed down the pier to a person who would be holding a Playa beach break sign. And this was a slow process, and it took over an hour before they finally loaded us on a bus. It was a little frustrating. The cruise line excursion came with the premium experience. That included food and drinks, a beach chair with an umbrella, and after doing the math in my head, it was cheaper to just book through Margaritaville than doing your own booking separately, paying for taxis both ways. Just book through the cruise line. My server here set me up with a solo lounge chair right along the beachfront, and almost immediately, somehow, a drink was in my hand. They do a really good job here of keeping your cup filled and your worries empty. Around lunchtime, I went to check out the included buffet. It had all of the usual suspects: chicken, beef fajitas, rice, fruits, as well as some more American-oriented foods that would be great to keep the kids or picky eaters happy. I ate underneath this huge, shady pavilion that looks over the adult pool and the beach area. Lunch was plentiful, and I even ate a bit healthy today. After lunch, I decided to check out the water park that is advertised here. It's basically a play structure for younger kids with some squirt guns and a little bit more legit water slide area for the bigger kids. This whole area seems like a great hiding spot for families with kids. It's far enough away from the boozy party side, and it has easy access still to like a lush beach area. It's a great separation. I took a little walk down the beach at this point and looked into some of the other activities on offer here, like the water play area, the banana boat, or the jet skis. Overall, my day at Playa was a really good value for the money. We only were able to spend about 4 hours there instead of 5 or 6 because of our delay in arriving, but either way, it was just what the doctor ordered for vacation. After a quick bus ride back to the cruise port, we're just back from the excursion here in Cozumel. I wanted to take just 10 seconds to remind you that if you like what you see here, it's a great time to hit the subscribe button. And if you want to take it just a little step further and help support me and help keep me cruising, delivering these high-quality cruise reviews and all of the behind-the-scenes action that comes with it, I'd invite you to become a channel member. For as low as $3.99 a month, you can get a behind-the-scenes look at what goes on in creating all of these videos. Keep in touch with me a little bit more. We got some private live streams. If that interests you, click on that link down below as well. Let's get back on the ship. Walking down the pier, I got back just in time to wave goodbye to an old friend, the Carnival Valor, and as we were next to depart, I headed up to an open deck, and that's when I saw it. We were docked alongside the Mariner of the Seas when something caught my eye beside their helicopter pad. It looked like a person who had fallen or was asleep or had some sort of problem, and they were just laying flat on the ground there. I pointed it out to a few of the people around me and grabbed my zoom lens, only to find out it was a CPR training dummy. But it was just so shocking and funny to see, and as usual, Cozumel doesn't disappoint with excitement. Between this and the dino bug last time I was here, sport's just wild. As we sailed away with our ship horning, I made my way to the second upcharged dining venue on board, Island Eats. I ordered the lobster roll with a pretzel-crusted margarita bar for dessert, and the roll was cooked so well. It was light, buttery, fluffy. I would definitely recommend trying this dish if you like this kind of food. The next day would be the final one of the cruise, and Margaritaville did a really nice job of keeping everyone entertained and filled with drinks during a sea day. I personally find sea days to be super relaxing, and I think it's a perfect way to end your cruise. Throughout the day, I did a few things. First, it was the crew towel folding competition before I headed over to the sushi bar for some of my favorite sushi I've ever had. It's really good stuff. You should try this. Following the sushi, I headed on up to the upper deck to catch a few rays in the adults-only pool, and before I knew it, it was time for dinner in the Islander dining room. The Islander is the paid version of Finn's, which is just downstairs, and it offers the same menu plus a few additional, more premium dishes. I opted for a bacon wedge salad and Floridian hush puppies for my starters before diving into my coffee-rubbed tenderloin. And in this restaurant, I happened to sit next to this lady who kept sending every dish back that they brought her. And in the end, I think she ended up monopolizing all of the dinner servers in my section because everybody else around me, myself included, barely got any service. I actually never even got my dessert. And that's when it happened. You see, Margaritaville has taken some cues from Carnival, and they started doing a crew parade kind of thing like Carnival does on their last night. The only difference is, instead of leaving on a fun ship, they have a song that Pitbull wrote about Jimmy Buffett. And this song is dangerously catchy, and it will get stuck in your head if you hear it. And speaking of Carnival a second ago, I mentioned earlier that it seemed like Margaritaville has their sights set directly on poaching some of the very important fun people who love a Carnival cruise. And from what I've seen on this sailing, I think they just might pull it off. In fact, the only thing that's really holding them back is the poor reputation that they got because of the Margaritaville Paradise. You know this online community, we've roasted this ship in the past. I didn't really roast it, but just some of these titles are a little bit nuts. Moving forward though, I fully expect this brand to come up to the same standards as they've set on the Islander, and word on the street is they've got a master plan that includes adding another half a dozen or so more ships to their fleet by like 2030 if possible. Overall, I loved this cruise. And as a person who cruises for a living, this is the one I would pick to have my vacation on when I just want to get away. If you're interested in what this ship was like during her inaugural sailings, before all the kinks got ironed out, click on over to this video now. We'll see you there.